The water in P1 is incredibly murky today, only about 5 feet of visibility, so we tied our primary line directly into the ladder. I'm not gonna lie, I did cheat a little bit and follow this other person's orange primary line, so whoever laid that, thanks. Luckily, once we got down to about 20 feet, it cleared up considerably and it was easy to find the gold line for Olsen and tie in. The beginning of the Olsen line is fun because you go heads down through this vertical crack, and at about 40 feet you pop out into this room where every rock, branch, and cinder block that's fallen into the spring in the last 100 years has slowly been collecting. I'm just taking a second to make sure everybody made it down the crack, got their lights fired up, and is ready to roll into the cave. Our route is to follow the Olsen line to the Nicholson tunnel, where it reconnects to the Cisteen line, at which point we'll turn right and continue towards Cisteen Spring. Here I'm tying in the jump from Olsen line to Nicholson tunnel. Nicholson tunnel is the first jump marked with a double arrow on the Olsen line, and it's about 50 feet after Pothole Sink. Dennis, you'd be proud of me. I actually tied a line lock around this rock instead of just tucking the line under like I normally do. These rock formations hanging down from the ceiling at the beginning of the Nicholson tunnel are really dramatic. I wish I'd gotten a better photo. This is my first time diving the Nicholson tunnel. On previous trips to the Cisteen sink, we've always gone one jump further and tied directly into the Cisteen line because that line is continuous all the way to the peanut restriction. I'd been told that you have to tie a jump at the end of Nicholson tunnel onto the Cisteen line, so that makes it one additional navigational decision to get to Cisteen. I like this clip because you can see my shadow projected onto the wall of the cave from Laura's light behind me. I take a second to look back and check in on Laura and John, and yep, they're having a good time. When we got to the end of the Nicholson line, it's actually a permanent T tied into the Cisteen line, so all we would have had to do is drop a cookie versus doing another jump. Turning right here would take us to the Cisteen sink, and then eventually around to the peanut restriction. Turning left here would take us back to the Olsen line. We're going to turn around here because John is diving aluminum 80s, so our third is only about 50 cubic feet. But we learned something today about how these lines are connected, and it just goes to show you can't believe everything some guy in a parking lot tells you. The super fine gray dust on the floor reminds me of moon dust, and especially with the white walls, it almost makes you feel like you are swimming around on the moon. We made it back to the beginning of the Nicholson tunnel, so I'm going to pull my jump back to the Olsen line, and we're going to continue left towards P1. One tip that I've tried to take to heart is before you do any line work, stop swimming, take a second, and just make sure your buoyancy is absolutely perfect before you approach the reel. That way, you're a lot less likely to plow into the bottom and kick up anything that's on the floor. And just like that, we're back at the cave sign, getting ready to pull the primary and head back to the surface. That murky water in the basin is pretty gross, but it does turn the sunlight into this really cool emerald green color from the bottom. I tried to be courteous and lay my primary under the other people's lines so that they don't get all tangled up when those guys are exiting. So that's it. First dive in the Nicholson tunnel, and we learned that it ends in a permanent T at the Cisteen line. 50 minutes round trip, about 95 cubic feet consumed, and max depth of 63 feet, no decompression. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.